What's up, sports fans? Welcome to another edition of the DC Sports Huddle. As always, it is sponsored by our friends at MGM National Harbor. For the latest in Washington sports, visit MGM National Harbor and experience a sports fan's paradise. I am Rob Woodfork. I am joined, as always, by Dave Preston and George Wallace. And we are here to break down the rematch of a game that had no winner. Washington and New York played to an ugly, ugly tie. And since then, I mean,
still
Washington, I'm still not over it either. I'm not sure that I'll ever get over it, but Dave is still reveling in it. But
hey, you can't get to 3 ties in a season if you don't get that first one.
Right.
And actually, you know, real quick, the last time 2 teams tied, this is from ESPN. I have yet to verify this, but ESPN says the last time 2 teams tied in the same season was 1923. So we're coming up on the centennial of the last time Dave Preston's dream scenario
What, like the last
out.
time a team tied twice?
2 teams played each other twice in a season and tied both times.
Oh, as in if this game were to end in a tie on Sunday.
Yes.
I want to say they tied in the spirit of the World Cup. Just because, I mean, and then defensively, I saw some secondaries when Michigan beat Ohio State a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I thought that Ohio State was caught up in the World Cup and thought that there was an offsides rule as well.
Taylor Heineke said yesterday, and he said, he watched the UFC fight the other day, because he was talking about the tie.
Right.
He goes, can you imagine just sitting there and getting your ass kicked for 30 minutes or for a full fight, and then it's a tie?
Yeah.
Like nobody. He goes, that's what we feel like.
Right.
Because that ended in a tie also, because ties are
That
terrible.
that is my primary beef with ties in the NFL, is that this is a multi-billion-dollar industry where the least you can do is give fans and athletes alike either the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat. That's what you're paying for. To walk away after 70 minutes and just like, well, couldn't figure it out. That's
I'm
lame.
not a fan. I mean, I'm okay with a tie sporadically, but I'm not a fan of the NFL rules that have massaged the possibility of ties happening more often.
They've increased it.
They've shortened the overtime period from 15 minutes to 10.
5 minutes.
And they also allow teams to retie as opposed to it being sudden death or sudden victory. So now if you kick a field goal in your first possession, the other team can come down, kick a field goal, and you still have to find a winner within 10 minutes. So but that's the
thing.
We had a tie in week 1 between the Colts and Texans.
Yeah.
Another tie. When it used to be sudden death, you'd have maybe 1 tie every other year, if that. And it was an aberration, and you were okay with it. Now there's the opportunities for more ties, and some smart Alex even predict teams to have multiple ties.
It's this, but that's the problem is they go into it, and you know, like you said, you go into this situation where you have a tie game, and instead of let's hurry up and get this over with, now it's like, well, it's not fair that the other team didn't get the ball. Stop about fairness. Fairness is figure it out in 60 minutes. After that, now it's a game of chance.
So would you go to the college rules then?
I would prefer that over what we have now. I'll put it that way.
I kind of agree with that.
But it's not ideal. I know I'm in the minority on this. I had zero problem with them with the way it was before, where it was sudden death. You go down, you get the field goal, and game over.
At least in the regular season. You know,
Yes, in the regular season,
game, when the games are more high leverage, maybe each team gets the ball once.
Because in the playoffs, you're not going to end in a tie.
Right.
You're going to keep playing until you get a winner.
Yes.
So, yes, in the regular season, let's just get it over with.
And
in the playoffs,
though,
both teams can touch it. I don't care then.
And for those purists who say, oh, you can't, change the fabric of the game, back in the day in the mid-'50s in Indiana high school basketball, they had sudden death overtime.
Yeah.
In basketball, which because there were fewer possessions, a lot less scoring back in the 1950s. Guys wore belts on their shorts, back then.
That's dangerous.
But this is a different world. It's the 21st century. Teams score more, so I think in the postseason, each team does need to get the ball maybe at least once, regardless of whether the first team scores a touchdown or not, to make things fair there. But in the regular season, I'm fine with sudden death. And I'm fine with 15-minute overtimes, because you're just going to play a 5th quarter, and if you're that worried about player safety, then don't have teams play on Thursday after they play on Sunday.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's out the window.
I think this is a DC Sports Huddle first, where we just started out off the rails.
Yeah.
Because we're assuming that there's going to be another tie. I'm going to assume that there's going to be a winner. So, George, you were in the locker room as you customarily are during the season. What's the vibe in the locker room going into this all-important game, which is, for all intents and purposes, this is basically a playoff game for both of these teams.
And they're kind of talking like it's a playoff week,
Yeah.
preparation. Definitely more media here this week for sure. And look, it's a unique situation playing the Giants twice in 3 weeks and back-to-back. And they've all kind of said that. It's a little better because you go back and watch that game and your preparation's kind of the same. Like, you know what the Giants are going to do. Of course, you can have some new wrinkles in game plans, things like that. You got to have a few new things. Right. But you also can go back and say, look, we got to contain Daniel Jones. No secret about that. That's what almost cost them in the other week. So Terry McLaurin, I thought, as he always is, very detailed. He says we have to be very, very detailed and detail oriented this week in this game. And they know that they can't. They know is it a must win? No. Are they out if they lose? No. But it is a lot harder if they lose. And you want to get back to that, the way they were playing and kind of rolling for a little bit there. The thing I worry about is, like I've mentioned before plenty of times, is what are you going to get from Taylor this week? Wes Schweitzer's now taking snaps at center. Tyler Larson is done. Sadiq Charles in the concussion protocol now as of today. So still lots of question marks. But also we've talked about rest deficit, rest advantages, and all of that throughout the season, and they have the rest advantage this week. They haven't really performed well in situations where they've had the rest advantage. So I mean, you would say, and we always do air quotes when we talk about home field advantage with them. They have the advantage of playing at home. They have the advantage of coming off the bye, but you can also argue the Giants didn't really play last week.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they kind of took the week off. And it's one of those things that this is obviously a huge game because the winner will have the tiebreaker at the end of the season. So if they wind up tied, somebody's going to be 1-0-1 against the other, barring a tie this week. And if that's the case, then happy birthday to me. You talked about the offensive line.
He's the only winner in the whole country.
The only one.
Sadiq Charles in the concussion protocol. Tyler Larson done for the year. They gave up 5 sacks against the Giants. That's one of the reasons why they were, I think, 3 of 14 on third down, and you hate to see the offense run dry. Because Taylor's been able to make a lot of plays behind a makeshift offensive line. They've been able to make the whole of this offense equal more than the sum of its parts, and you're worried that, gosh, is this where things finally crater?
That's what I'm worried about. Yeah.
But I think, and Gibson and Robinson both limited in practice today. So, or on Thursday, they were both limited. So that's going to be a concern because one of the things I think that really hurt Carson Wentz when he was a starter was that he didn't have Brian Robinson healthy, and he didn't have a full running game, and they were forced to pass first more. And I think that Wentz is better pass first more than Taylor Heineke. So if one or both of those running backs are not 100% on Sunday, then it's going to be a tough go against
especially
the Giants.
Because they've been running it so well. And I think that we talked a lot about the keys, but Brian Robinson's right up there. I mean, he had to work himself back. Obviously, this is exactly who they thought they were getting. This guy. So that has been a big key for them. And that's my other argument with the Carson thing. It's like, I go back to this. If he were to have to play again, which I still think he is going to play again, it wouldn't be. It's going to be with an offensive line that was not turnstile like him, and you have Brian Robinson.
Yes.
So it's not the end of the world like some people think it's going to be, like people on this set.
Look, running the ball and stopping the run, I mean, that's kind of fundamental football 101. But, I mean, obviously in this particular matchup, it's important that Washington establish a run because the Giants are not very good at stopping the run. Right. Washington is adept at running the ball. So when you have a wild card at quarterback like Taylor Heineke, and I said this before the first one, you need to take him out of the equation as much as possible. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick Washington to win this game. As a matter of fact, I think I said that they were going to sweep. So I don't. Does this count as a sweep? If you get a tie and a win,
it's more of a brush. It's not a sweep.
We have to defer to him on that.
It's a broad brush.
Yeah. Judges.
I'm going to say Washington wins 24-21. I think that they are going to run the ball well. I think that they are going to play with. It's going to be a slow start because this is what they do. They start out games slow, but I think a strong finish against a Giants team that's not super legit I think Washington's going to get it done with a last-second field goal from the player of the month, Joey Sly, from the month of November. What's your pick?
I have 17-11 Washington, a late two-point conversion. Late two-point conversion hooks up the Giants, makes it a one-possession game. And maybe I see the defense making some big plays Sunday night against this Giants team. I do see Daniel Jones ripping off one huge run like he usually is able to, but I also see him making a mistake and the Burgundy and Gold defense taking advantage.
So will he stumble and fall over his own 2 feet at the end of the run?
Monsters. I think maybe he'll accidentally run out of bounds. Who knows? No, this Giants team is one that they overachieved early because they won 6 of their first 7. They've really showed us who they are, and that's in the NFL. You often find your way back to your actual ability. I'm not saying that this Washington team is great, but I just think as they're comprised right now, they're better than what the Giants have to offer.
And what's funny is these two teams are almost sort of mirror images of each other. Like they arrive. Like take the first meeting for example. I mean, you look at the numbers. The numbers were almost identical. So it was almost apropos that they ended in a tie because they both played similarly. Washington is doing toward up to this point anyway over the last several weeks what the Giants were doing on the front end of the season, and now the Giants are doing what Washington did toward the front end of the season. So this really is going to be the make or break sort of game for the team that's going to finish the season well and get that last wild card spot is probably the team that wins this game, even though it's not a must win to your point.
Even Stevens.
Yeah, but and I think you're right about the Giants. Like they're a little ahead of schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
And
they won a lot of games that they shouldn't, or that they should have lost, and now they're losing games.
Right.
Some that they should lose, but that Detroit game is one that they should have won.
Yeah.
Right. But Daniel Jones, throws passes well against Washington. Nobody else.
He does well.
500 yards.
Right. He's terrible against everybody else, and against Washington, he's Joe Montana.
Field. It's gonna be interesting to see which team. You're going to find out what they're made of. Like if Washington really is ready to take that next step, then they bounce back from a pretty awful performance, and they take care of business at home in front of 50-50 crowd. I mean, at home, it's going to be a neutral site, really.
I mean, 50-50 is a best case scenario.
Well,
we have players buying tickets to try and get some of their own fans in the stands.
I think that because it's a primetime game, I think it's going to be more of a Washington crowd because the people who would come down from Jersey for a 1 o'clock or a 4 o'clock game,
that's true.
Maybe they're not doing so for an 8 o'clock game.
On East Coast time, East Coast time, right?
It is East Coast time, yes. So because Giants fans have jobs, as opposed to Philly fans.
Wait, what's your game pick? What's your game pick? George?
7-5. No.
I like this guy.
No.
That was a.
I don't know.
Score.
I don't know.
You're not supposed to know. That's how we look.
That's
why the game is in prime time.
18,
that's why the
18?
game is in prime time, though, because you don't know.
It's a toss-up.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up. I'll go with the home team, thinking that they're going to show us something. And for me, this is the game because in the past they come out in a game like this that they are supposed to bounce back, and they're telling you all the right things, that they're ready to take the next step, and then they lay an egg. But this team might be different. I keep saying that every year, though, give them benefit of the doubt, and they haven't earned that, but I'm going to say this team has. I think it's still going to be close. I think it's going to be in the 20s as well. I'm going to say 27-24. It's a field goal. The Giants will score a late touchdown, though. I think it'll be 27-17. They'll score a late touchdown, not get an onside kick.
Gotcha.
Oh. Okay, that was very specific.
Just made that up.
We like that.
All right, 7-5 though, right?
Yeah, 7-5 is pretty good. That's a nice.
All right, so all of us picked Washington then.
Yeah,
right?
Which means they're gonna get blown out.
Yeah, that's not
good.
That's not a good sign.
Not good, my friends.
That's not a good sign. And hopefully they don't look like the Terps did against UCLA.
We don't have time for that.
No, we don't want to talk about that.
We don't have time for that. You burned the tape on that one. You just goodbye.
But no, are we worried about the Terps right now? Because they did get out to that hot start. Everybody was like, Kevin Willard is a wizard. But are we concerned about the Terps right now?
I think it's not the end of the world. It's a tough, not making excuses, but I think Kevin went back and said he'd have to, alter the scheduling type of thing. I mean, you go neutral site to play Tennessee, come home to UCLA this after back-to-back Big Ten games. It's a tough stretch right in the middle of finals. So am I worried yet? No. Yeah. Did they start off better than anybody
they exceeded
thought?
Expectations, yes.
So I think, like we're talking about the Giants coming down.
I was about to say.
Do I think Maryland's 30 points worse than UCLA? No.
No.
But I'm not worried yet. They got a long break now, then you have some games before conference play starts.
I mean,
Hey, you're a voter on
right.
the AP Top 25.
They
What
might,
did you see?
they might bow out of the top.
They're going to drop a little bit.
If they're not 25th, then they're probably going to be they're probably going to be off my ballot this week, just because a lot of schools are playing non-conference games and are able to build up profiles. I had them in the top 25 thanks to their strength of a lot of really good victories. The Miami won, the St. Louis won, Louisville and Illinois were both quality victories as well. But back-to-back losses, you have to drop them at some point, because no matter how talented a team is, it's what are they putting on the score sheet, so to speak. It's you can be the brightest student, but if you're not passing your tests and quizzes and handing in your homework, we can't give you top marks. So I think Maryland is going to be one of those middle teams in the Big Ten. They might be 8-12, they might be 11-9 in conference play. Are they a Final Four team? No, but I think once they get their wheels back, this stretch was just so tough. 5 straight games against Power 5 schools at a time when most schools are still playing December cupcakes from bid leagues. The St. Peter's, granted, they made a run last year in the NCAA tournament. St. Peter's is not UCLA. St. Peter's is not Louisville or Indiana or Wisconsin.
So a team
Illinois
like
even.
that now, we'll see what a game like that. But look, Maryland was winning those first 4 or 5 games
West
by 15
Carolina.
or points, 15 or more points. We didn't even expect that either. So I think against St. Peter's, you'll see do they come back out after 8 days off and then take care of business against a team like that, not win, not squeak by.
I think the big thing is this weekend, guys. If we can stay inside the district, Georgetown plays its big East opener Friday against Xavier. They have not won a Big East Conference game since 2021 when they won the Big East tournament, 4 wins in 4 days. Last year, a nightmare season, 0-19 in the league. The team is better this year than it was last year. How much better? We don't know. They lost by 19 to a Syracuse team that's playing tag with 500. They lost to American University at home the day before Thanksgiving. This game against Xavier is not the litmus test of the season, but if they somehow underwhelm and get run by the Musketeers, you dread at what sort of season we could have ahead. I think it was last year they lost to Marquette by 28. And it may have been their Big East home opener.
Yeah.
It was the first Friday of January.
That's right.
And all of a sudden your expectations went from being, this team's going to have trouble, to, oh my God, this team could be historically bad. So, all eyes are going to be on Capital One Arena Friday as they take on Xavier. And again, the season is long, but it could get late early for the Hoyas.
People won't be in. Won't be in the arena.
No.
But all eyes will be on it.
Yes.
Yeah, no pressure, Patrick Ewing, who is kind of at the point now where you start to wonder about his job security, even if he is one of the all-time greats to ever put on a Georgetown uniform. We have to take off our DC Sports Huddle uniforms.
Are we getting new ones?
We should. We should get jerseys. We should get matching jerseys for this show.
That'd be cute.
I feel like.
Sure,
and
pros.
you guys didn't even notice, man. Look, I wore the burgundy and navy stripes because the two teams tied in the
like
first. You see what I did there?
That's
Look,
why
I always try to color
good.
coordinate my outfits to what
Elevate
we're talking
the dialogue.
about. Yeah, something to pay attention to. On the DC Sports Huddle, which of course is sponsored by MGM National Harbor. For the latest in Washington sports, visit MGM National Harbor and experience a sports fan's paradise. I am Rob Woodfork. That
Dressed
is
appropriately.
Dave, dressed for the occasion. Dave Preston and George Wallace.
Call you Dan?
No, Don.
Did it? No, I mean Don Peterson over here.
Right.
And we are going to break the huddle.